First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for this little talk on German architects and planners and engineers in modern Thailand. We have heard already so much about the history of, in general, of architects and from various European countries. So I will start, I prepared something as well, but I will start with the German-Thai relationship and the general history about it. You know, Germany actually didn't exist until 1871. It was various different kind of states all over the territory of Germany. And so I will divide the relationships before 1871 and after 1871, after this so-called Second German Reich was founded. The Thai relation before 1871 was very poor, actually, comparatively with what we heard from Portugal and other European countries. There were just some territorial states like Prussia and Mecklenburg and the Hanseatic cities like Bremen, Hamburg, and Lübeck, who were very much interested in trading. They had some relationships to Thailand before 1871, and they founded consulates and trading posts in Thailand. The first diplomatic contacts between Thailand and Germany was also in this time, and this started, strange enough, with a German general consulate in an English consulate that was a certain Robert Schomburg. So this was actually the first official diplomatic contact. And around 1850, in the middle of the 19th century, the diplomatic activities of Hanseatic cities of Bremen, Lübeck, and Hamburg started. There were, in 1858, 8 years after this activities, there was a friendship, trade, and shipping treaty of the three cities with Thailand. Between 1859 and 1862, Prussia made an excursion or an expedition to East Asia. And on this expedition, it went also to Thailand, and they stayed there for 3 months. And this ended up with a friendship treaty between Prussia, and also there was a kind of combination of various German states. This was called the Zollverein. They had the same custom to foreign countries. And then there was Mecklenburg-Schwerin. The Duke of Mecklenburg-Schwerin was very interested in Thailand, and he became later a very close friend of King Chulalongkorn. After the founding of the Second German Reich in 1871, these former connections changed to an official relationship between the German Empire and Thai, And so the first Thai embassy was opened in 1887. And in 1897, the first German embassy, imperial embassy, was opened in Bangkok. Actually, the connections at that time they were very slow, because both of them, Thailand and the German Empire, was very busy with other issues, and obviously there was not so much interested in each other. This changed with the King Chulalongkorn, and his policy in opening the country of Thailand by hiring foreign, mainly European experts and architects and planners and so on, to build up a modern Thai state. And Rama V, King Chulalongkorn, he made, as you already heard, two big tours or excursions to Europe. One in 1897 and the other one in 1907. And you already saw the map of this tour. And within this tour, he came also to Germany. And he was in Germany and visited quite a lot of cities and places and got quite close to the German culture. Also because of some personal friendship and relationships to some German noblemen and like this Duke of Mecklenburg. The relationship after the foundation of the German Reich in 1871 between Thailand and Germany developed also quite slowly. Actually, after this first visit of Europe, then the interest started much more. And so there were special connections between Thailand and Germany. But especially on the second visit in Europe, these connections got very close, because Chulalongkorn was, he suffered from some, that was kind of illness he had, and he went for treatment in Germany and made a so-called cure in Bad Homburg, and he had quite some German friends, and out of this there was a quite close relationship between him and Germany. And so when he started to build up his advisors in architecture and town planning. He employed quite some Germans, but of course it was not so many like from especially Italy and France and England. So there were actually only 4 interesting architects and planners working or got important for the development of the architecture in Thailand. And there were, of course, some others, but there is not so much research done on this. And I will turn to them. There were an essential urban planning activities were going on in Bangkok in the late 1890s, and there was a certain planner who financed and organized the construction of channels and planned this so to develop the surrounding of Bangkok. And there were architects and civil engineers from the Department of Public Works. Among them was the most famous German architect Karl Sentrecki, and the most famous one was Karl Siegfried Döring. Karl Sentrecki designed in the palace this mansion in 1897, and the Ministry of Public Instructions between 1902 and 1905. The most interesting and famous architect was Karl Siegfried Döring. He was born in 1879 in Cologne and died here in Darmstadt. And he was an engineer, architect, art historian, archaeologist, writer, and translator who worked in Siam from 1906 to 1917. And after this, in the mid-1920s, he mainly focused on writing novels, translated numerous English novels into German. Karl Döring studied architecture in Berlin, and he was fascinated by the rich art and monuments of India and Southeast Asia. And after completing his studies in 1905, he applied for a position in the Royal Siamese Civil Service in Bangkok. From July 1906, he worked in Siam, first as an engineer for the Royal State Railways, and he planned between 1906 and 1912 and supervised the construction of various railways buildings. And station buildings. So, for instance, in Bangkok, in Pitsanulok, in Pichin, Pichai, and so on. You can see it here on this. That was the first the first railway which was built close to Burma. In 1909, Göring took up a position as an architect and engineer with the Siamese Ministry of Interior, where he made an excellent career thanks to exceptional skills, as well as becoming acquainted with the high-ranking officers at this ministry. He also attracted the attention members of the royal family who worked for the ministry, including Prince Damron and Prince Dilok. In the first 2 years of his work for Ministry of Interior, between 1909 and 1911, he was commissioned, amongst other things, to design 4 important private buildings for members for the royal family. And I will show it to you. There was, the first one was for the king himself. That was a palace in the south of Bangkok, in Phetchaburi. I visited this place by chance about 10 years ago or more. And I was very surprised when I found this kind of architecture in the middle of the jungle. And I was very much amused that actually this guy was living very close to me here in Darmstadt and in Seeheim. So I got very attracted by this building. And I show you some pictures. These are the plans which are still existing. And this is a building itself. It was a royal palace. This is exactly the same kind of architecture you find here in Bad Nauheim or in Darmstadt. That is the interior of this building, a big hall with staircases going up. And this is upstairs, the most important room for dining. The second was a palace building for the Prince Damron. That was one of the brothers of King Chulalongkorn. Which is still existing and in a very good shape. And the third one, that was a little palace designed for the Prince Dilok, who actually died quite early. I think he killed himself. And so this building I visited several times is in a very bad stage. It is on a kind of backyard of a transport company. And this was this little Prince Dilok, but you can have an idea how it used to look like. In the meantime, it is converted in an office building, and then some people were living there and so on. So it's in a quite bad shape. And the last important building he built was a residential building for the queen. That was one of the wives of Chulalongkorn, which was built in the palace of her son. And this is quite important. It was owned by by a bank, and now it's be converted in a museum. And this is a building which Döring designed. The other one was designed by an Italian architect. But besides this, Döring was also responsible for drawing up city maps of Nakhon Pathom and Phetchaburi. The Phetchaburi is in the south, where this first palace is. And unlike the contemporary Western architects then working in Thailand, Döring's design were not mere copies of European architectural style. Rather, he tried to functionally combine Western and Thai architecture, also shared built heritage, and to achieve his own very personal expression by adapting old forms to new needs and tasks. His buildings are
Is there a problem, or only I'm not listening?
No, it's.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So unlike the other contemporary Western architects then working in Thailand, Döring's designs were not mere copies of European architectural styles. Rather, he tried to functionally combine Western and Thai architecture and to achieve his own very personal expressions by adapting old forms to new needs and tasks. His buildings are extremely individual because they were designed and built as custom works according to the needs and ideas of the clients. Unfortunately, the sudden death of his first wife in 1911 affected Karl Döring greatly, and he didn't like the increasing rivalry amongst the foreign architects. So he laid down his work and for a year and traveled to Germany, where he received a doctorate in the Technical University of Dresden with a thesis on the Shetty in Siam. After his return to Bangkok in 1913, the range of his activities for the Ministry of Interior was greatly expanded. So in addition to his duties as an architect and engineer, he was also commissioned to undertake archaeological excavation and surveys in some of the northern province in Siam. However, some of the commissioned buildings he designed that year never materialized, such as the Royal Navy headquarters and a hospital. Taken from the stress all of the work, Döring felt seriously ill, and his doctor advised him to return to Europe just before World War I. So Döring actually wanted, after he recovered returned from Germany to Siam, but it was impossible because of World War I. And so he stayed in Germany and changed after this time his profession. He became a writer, novelist, and translator, and started a second career. And he wrote a big book about Thai architecture, which was only recently translated into English. So unfortunately, there has been little or no scientific study of the architecture influenced or created by German architects in Thailand, so that little information is available about Santrecki, Egon and Erwin Müller and others. An exception is Carl Siegfried Döring in the scientific proceeding of this architectural and other scientific works, and thankfully there is a dissertation of Professor Dr. Chrisana Honguten. She wrote a dissertation on Carl Döring's work in German, and it was translated into English. Yeah, that was a short introduction of only some of the German architects and engineers who have been working in this time in Thailand. Thank you very much for